we're having a conversation about breast cancer. Well, actually, let's just have it now. I have two delectable ladies here in the studio, and I know we're coming from quite a heavy topic to
Yeah.
another one, but this is the society that we live in, and breast cancer is something which it kills almost 1 in 4 Black people have lost someone to cancer at this point, and it may be an extended family member, and it may be a direct family member, but this is a conversation that we can't stop having, and every year we have conversations around breast cancer, cervical cancer, and cancer awareness, and so I'm glad you're both in the studio to have this conversation. So I'll let you introduce yourselves.
My name is Ambassador Sylvia Ivie. I'm the Executive Director for Edward Healthcare Foundation.
Okay.
I'm Titilayo Kayode Alabi. I am a pediatrician. I work at London University.
I remember you, Titilayo. You
Yeah.
wrote a book for children.
Hi.
5 books.
Wow.
We'll come to that later. So why are we here?
So, like you said, cancer is real, and it's important enough for you to have decided across the globe to make a whole month set aside for breast cancer awareness. So the month of October across the globe in the 4 or 5 continents I've worked in, every month, every October is dedicated to breast cancer awareness. Why do we need to be aware of it? Because despite the fact that it's 2024, it's still looked at like almost like a swear word, like something that you do not want to talk about. I was on Brekete TV sensitizing people about this weeks before October, just so that people can take advantage of what it is that we can do. Rather than the talk, we wanted as an organization, Everett Diagnostics birthed Everett Healthcare Foundation 7 years ago. And what we decided to do was to give 100% off our normal cost of breast screening just for the month of October, so that your wives, your mothers, your daughters, your girlfriends, I've been told I'm not allowed to say side chick on air, but you know, all of them, all the females, you know, they exist. Just make people aware. And funny enough, when you think about breast cancer and breast screening, you think it's for the elderly, for the aged. No. People as young as 24, 25 have been diagnosed with breast cancer. So what do we do? What do we put out there? Basically, if you're under 40 and you have a family history of breast cancer, we advise that you do a breast ultrasound from the ages of 25 every year. And if you're over 40, what we say is globally gold standard, do a mammogram of your breast every year, so that you get a baseline of what your breasts actually are like, so that if something then happens, you are aware. If you don't know what the norm is, when something changes, then you can't do anything about it. So that's why we sensitize people about breast awareness, actually doing the checks yourself every month, getting to know your breast as a woman. Starting, I mean, you can ask your husband to check your breast for you, but that would be another story. You get to know your breast for yourself, checking side to side, top to bottom, front to back, and getting to know which parts of the month your breasts feel this way, so that when you then feel that thing that feels like a lump, or you get that discharge from your nipples, you get that discomfort, you don't just hide and say, shh, we can talk about it. No, you go diagnose it. You find out whether it's ultrasound, whether it's mammogram. You go have a look and see. Apart from screening yourself every year, which I think should be gold standard now for anybody, with all the genetically modified food and everything we're experiencing in the world now. Yes, it's in Nigeria as well. That's what we suggest. That's what we advise, that you screen yourself annually. But Breast Cancer Awareness Month, October just ended. We were doing that as an organization to help everyone and anyone. So rather than paying the 115,000 it would normally cost, we brought it down to 5,000 naira. And that was for the whole month of October.
That's interesting to hear. Dr. Titilayo, could you shed some light on this Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and also speak on men also, because lots of people do not know, particularly in this part of the world, that men also have breast cancer, could have breast cancer. Could you speak on that?
So, as you said, the whole month of October was dedicated to creating awareness about breast cancer. And like she said, you would find that people still don't talk about these things, or they don't want to hear about it. It looks like a death sentence when the diagnosis is made or when it is suspected. But we keep saying that early diagnosis helps, because you find that the 5-year survival rate when it is diagnosed early is almost about 99%, compared to when it has spread to other parts of the body. And then, it requires more invasive therapy, and then also at the same time, the risks of the chances that the person would survive is highly reduced. So it is something that should be screened for monthly by doing it yourself, and then of course annually depending on your age. And then however, the month of October was specifically dedicated for this purpose. And when we hear breast cancer, then you find that a lot of people think it's female.
Yeah.
But we forget that males also have breast tissues, and breast cancer can develop in male, but very rare. So it's been found that it's less than 1% of cases, but why be that 1% who could die from breast cancer? So it's, we encourage both male and females to be aware of this. Awareness does not necessarily mean that it would not develop, but awareness means that if for any reason I'm aware of what to do to catch it early, and then I also know that if, for example, I find something abnormal in my breast, I know that I should go to the hospital. Men are also likely to die from breast cancer. So even though it is rare in them, the chances of them dying from breast cancer is higher than in the females. So we are encouraging both males and females, to be aware, to be sensitized, and then of course to do the right thing. You find a lump in your breast, you find that your breast, there's some asymmetry between right and left breast. Even as a male, the best thing is to go to the hospital early, talk about it, and ask to be screened.
Ambassador,
Yes,
can you
ma'am.
share some misconceptions surrounding breast cancer, particularly this part of, the world, where lots of people see things like that as more spiritual than actually medical and health-wise? Could you shed some light on that?
So, being a cancer survivor myself, diagnosed 2003, I know all the myths that are surrounding cancer. And a lot of people, when they get those symptoms, they would believe that, okay, it's your stepmother somewhere, or that old person in the village, or the village people, like we call them now, and all of that. And I'm a Christian, I'm a child of God, and I believe in the power of faith. But wisdom is also profitable to direct. If you don't know what's going on, then you don't know what you're going to pray about. So whether you're a Muslim, you're a pagan, whatever you are, if you don't have the information at your fingertips, you can't do anything about it. Now, we can hide behind, ignorance is bliss. No, it's not. So you can say that discharge is because you stepped on something, and that's why you started having a discharge from your breast. And so if you fast and pray, and you go to the native doctors and all of that, that will sort it. Realistically, it won't. What will solve it is, like we were just told now, early diagnosis. You find what the problem is. The body speaks to you. That's just the way the body is. It speaks to you. That pain, that ache, that fever is your body's way of telling you, I'm not happy, something is not right. So rather than, just sweeping it under the carpet and saying, well, can't touch this, don't want to know about this one. No. When you feel those things, whether it's in a child or an adult, that ability to say, let's find out, it's what takes you from the 1900s to 2024 that we are right now.
I really want to say congratulations, and I'm glad
Yeah.
that you're a survivor. And I'm also glad that you are speaking up about it, because most times people don't talk about it, and there's that fear of the healthcare system, fear of stigma, and there's this fear where most times the fear kills people before the illness. And so I'm glad that you're sharing your story so people can know. Especially for men around my age group who are getting to 40 or in their 40s, prostate cancer is a huge killer of men. And I know lots of men have died of it because men have refused to go get checked. And prostate cancer is actually curable if detected early. And so I'm glad you're alive and here to tell your story and what you do. But before we go, children, and this is your domain, how soon do we start teaching children about cancer? Things we can do to prevent it, and just even the knowledge of it, because there are so many taboo topics in this part of the world. Having a conversation about breast cancer and how you are talking about the husbands you help check and the like, there are some people who would be squeezing their faces and most likely would report us that we shouldn't be saying this because children shouldn't hear the word breast. But we're talking about breast cancer. At what point do we involve children in this conversation, and how do we convey this message? Because I know you do that with your books.
For kids, it's important to realize that every information they receive from us must be age appropriate. So what do I mean? I don't want to scare my child by starting talking about the figures and then saying that, oh, the likelihood of dying is this and that. So what do I start from? I start telling them about healthy living, because we also know that lifestyle modification, environmental and lifestyle are also risk factors for breast cancer. So what do I emphasize? I emphasize to them health, well-being. I also know that obesity is on the rise in them, and it's also a risk factor for breast cancer and other cancers. So I'm talking about food, I'm talking about exercise, I'm talking about water. I'm teaching them about taking care of themselves. And then as they begin to grow into adolescence, when their breast tissue starts developing, I start to teach them about their breast, start to help them to realize that the breast changes with the cycle, especially when they start menstruating, and then how to recognize these changes, and then of course even how to examine themselves, because everybody should learn this early. Of course, we know that breast cancer does not the incidence is commoner at an older age. Talk about 55 years and above. But like she rightly said, it's been diagnosed also in younger ones as young as 25 years. So for my kids, I want to tell them about well-being. I don't want to emphasize breast cancer, but I want to emphasize well-being at all times, so that they are constantly aware that taking care of themselves, it's not just for now, it's also for the future. It helps them to prevent some things that they may not be able to alter or influence later on in age.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, we have to go because of time, but how can we reach you, and how can the public reach you?
So, for example, I am the executive director of Everett Healthcare Foundation, and so we are bettered from Everett Diagnostics Limited, which is based at number 2 First Street off Kumasi Crescent in Wuse 2. I can provide my phone number as well.
Are you on social media?
Social media.
Yes, social media. Everett Healthcare Foundation is on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, everywhere, anywhere,
so
we're all over the place.
All
You
right.
can send us.
And how about you, Doctor?
Dr. Titilayo Alabi on Instagram. I'm always available in my DM.
All right.
Dr. Titilayo, I'll send you a DM because I'm having a conversation around this. Ladies, thank you so much for all
Thank
you're
you.
doing and for being here and sharing our awareness.
Thanks for having
you.
us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That's all that conversation. Just before we move on to social media trends, one of the stories which we saw on social media a couple of days ago was the famous cross-dresser Bobrisky being hauled off a plane. I went on to see an article where he said, he has been detained by EFCC and he had bruises and whatever. What are your thoughts on that whole scenario?
First of all, someone who has an ongoing case shouldn't be able to go through security and all the checks in the airport before boarding a plane and taking off the plane. Firstly, I thought, are they trying to teach him a lesson? Could that be why they made it so public and on the plane? But secondly, it showed how porous, our security system is, particularly with the airport. And also, he had an issue also on land where he tried to escape also via land. So it just showed how porous everything was. And secondly, it still comes down to human rights. Yes, he did certain things according to, what the courts are saying and according to his detention earlier in the year. But the bruises, there are ways to handle this whole issue. These issues that, he's going through, not actually,
100% right. I'm sure Izina and Aisha may have or may not have something to say about that. But we'll take a quick break,
Yeah.
and when we return, the social media trend on the Weekend Show.